Well, Mickey, I don't know tonight. You think we can bowl everybody over?
I think we can.
All right. Well, you know what? It's Monday night. It's 8 o'clock. You know what time it is. It's time to start your week off right here on Nerd Initiative with Play for Keeps the show. This week, we're asking, what's the scoop? Because we're talking about cereal toys. Mickey, start my week off right and my morning right. Play the intro.
All right.
Ryan, got your new cereal.
How's it look, Duke?
All clear. Go for it. G.I. Joe Action Stars brand cereal, a delicious part of this complete breakfast. Crunchy stars that taste great. So, for all you action stars,
Bye, Mom.
G.I. Joe Action Stars.
Num, 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 num.
I'm trying to think if I had that one.
I don't think I ever did.
Maybe, I don't know. There
Yeah.
was a weird time in the 80s where I was that spoiled kid where I kind of got whatever cereal I wanted for reasons.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Monday night. We're back doing the thing. The month of mayhem, because we're just doing stuff randomly this week, is keep going on. Of course, my name is Off the Cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative's pop culture connoisseur, and with me, as always, he is the voice of Nerd Initiative. He puts the two in my two scoops. His name is Mickey CWK Smith. What is happening, Mickey?
Well, what's going on, everybody? It's a good night. I had a lot of fun researching this and just learning more about it because breakfast cereals were a big part of my childhood, as were these cool little prizes that I would dig in as quickly as I could to get them out. So this is an exciting topic. I can't wait to talk more about it.
One of these days, just so everybody knows, when I call Mickey, he's the one thing to my other thing. I do that completely randomly. He has no idea. There have been times where I do think about it. This was one of them. One of these days, I'm going to break him. That is my job. I'm going to have him head over heels. Like he's going to drown in his cereal solely just on this. I think the fact that it's the dad puns that, he's kind of used to them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But as always, Mickey, let's start off before we dive into our big bowl of cereal. Did we get any particular pickups this week?
I did get I got to buy a loot, but I'm only going to share a couple of things. We got the Spider-Man, Marvel Legends, Spider-Man 2, the black suit, Tobey Maguire head.
Speaking of which, the Venom Gamerverse just dropped this week as well.
Oh, man, that should be coming in soon then. I think I pre-ordered that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got my giant-size X-Men Banshee in his green uniform, his classic. Because I had the one that was blue, but I was like, I always wanted that green and gold, and I finally got it. So
his
face sculpts are awesome.
Yeah. Especially with that Scream one. It much looks like my my logo.
And I love that it comes with that little
mini comic
prop. Love it. What about you, Tom? What did you get this week?
Well, oddly enough, and by total accident, I was doing a Walmart order, and I had something in my cart from a third-party seller through Walmart. And, everybody knows Hasbro, till all are one. They own every single brand. I finally picked this up. So this is the Transformers RED line, Optimus Prime, specifically from Transformers Prime. This was a great show. The Aligned Continuity is one of mine and my wife's favorite Transformers series. We pretty much watched everything since then, with the exception of Rescue Bots, unless the kids were around. Yeah. I love these figures, and it's a shame that they didn't get their just due. I think what hurt was the fact that, one, they were Walmart exclusive.
Yeah, they were hard to get a hold of.
They were extremely hard to get a hold of. Like, this will be number 9 in my collection, and I didn't get every single character. I actually did have Cheetor.
Okay.
But his face sculpt was so bad. Like, he looked like he was so pissed off. Like, he didn't like, hey, what's going on, Big Bot? You doing good? All right. No, he's like, I'm going to murder you with my kitten claws. I don't care. if that line could have gone somewhere else, I really would have liked it. So the only other figure that I'm looking for, and anybody can always hit me up in the chat, even on here or on our personals, I'm still looking for Megatron, Transformers Prime Megatron. Other than that, I'm pretty much done. If I get a Galvatron, cool.
Okay.
But that's all else I'm looking for.
I was collecting that line, but only the G1 versions, and I didn't get Shockwave, and he's kind of pricey second market. Maybe one day I'll find him or just splurge on it. But right now, I'm good.
And I think for me, like Shockwave didn't have that visceral reaction for me that I needed to go get him. Like I have Soundwave, that's great. I wish Soundwave would have opened up because it came with that hand that pushes the button. Like it pushes the button. Just give me. I'll spend the extra $5. Give me just a little cassette. It doesn't even have to transform.
Exactly.
And I see Daniel's in the chat, giving us crap about it already.
Transformers transform. Dang it.
And you're right, Daniel. And that's why I still have other figures still in box until we get, my new office / studio, which will be happening in the next 2 months. So stay tuned for that whole transformation.
Nice.
I will have finally get my Transformers on.
Oh, I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be awesome.
Now, speaking of news that I'm going to be getting a new office and studio, we've got some stuff that we've happened this past week. So let's cover some toy news. This just in, I'm still wearing shorts.
That's good. So, it actually was kind of a light week in terms of news. Look, the dominating headlines are tariffs. So, that's kind of all they're really harping on. There's not a whole lot of new stuff coming out, probably because of that. There's not a lot of new stuff coming right now, but we got a few things to talk to you about. And first up, is a big anniversary of a really cool movie that I really enjoy, which is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. And Funko released some special editions.
Yep.
Yeah.
So these brand new figures, I've already talked with one of the particular Rangers on the screen who likes to boogie with the bear, who's extremely excited. And if you didn't know, those eyes on the Sabretooth helmet there are glow-in-the-dark variants as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. The Ninja Megazord, that will go on my shelf. Mickey knows I'm not a huge fan of Funkos unless they're done right. Mm-hmm. And this Ninja Megazord definitely will fit in on my shelf with my 2 alphas because I only have this will make pop number 3.
Okay. Is that a jumbo size or is it regular?
I don't know. I think the way that they've done this, it might be jumbo size. I do love the fact that the Ivan Ooze figure has the blast effects or the ooze effects.
He, as much as I would like to collect some Power Rangers Funkos, I really just want Ivan Ooze. He's one of my favorite movie villains ever. He's so crazy and ridiculous. And it would be cool if he had a glow-in-the-dark variant. I would totally seek that out.
I could see that. What's really funny is the actor who portrayed Ivan Ooze, if you go back at his backlog, he has so many great movies. He was in, oh, poor cat. We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't worry about it. Okay. Just have faith. We know things are going on. Okay. But what I was getting at is that the actor who played Ivan Ooze, whose name just completely escapes me right now, has been in so many other great movies. And then when he finally does it, to see the line at his table, like at Power Morphicon or any other things, Morphicon is one thing because it's specific Power Rangers, but to see him at another convention and you see the diversity of people from the Indiana Jones series or Power Rangers.
It's Paul Freeman. Yes, and I know him from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah.
Yep. So kudos to him. And when I saw this originally, Ryan Parrott shared it. I'm like, oh, well, isn't that a little too late? And then I realized it's the 30th anniversary and totally put my Morpher in my mouth. But no, I think these are cool. Good for them. I like that they did the stylized Pink Ranger helmet like they did in the movie. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of else changed as far as the styles. But again, they did the light up action idea for the Sabretooth Tiger. Because if you look at the original one with Trini or Ashley, or Aisha, excuse me, with their helmets, the other ones originally don't have that pop-up on there. So kudos to them on that. And I don't know if looks like they did the, if you zoom in, and I know we can't, It looks like they did the particular dirt bike style shielding and
Yeah,
whatnot.
I'm pretty sure I saw that in when I was looking at the image. It's like that. Yeah, it's almost
Mhm.
like armor, like plastic armor or something like
Yep.
that. Yeah, instead of just spandex.
It was glorified dirt bike gear that they used for
It
the movie.
was.
Let's
It
be
was.
honest.
It had to do something special for the movie, right? Right. This is sick, man. Now, I don't know how many people watch this have Mondo money. I really wish I did because this Nightcrawler is epic. It's from X-Men 97. He's got the extra sword to hold with his tail, which is chef's kiss. 3 exchangeable heads. I mean, these things are awesome. I know Mondo, just from what I've seen, I don't know how well they pose, like in terms of like really dynamic stretching them out, but they just look so good and they're so photogenic. And I think they're 1/6 scale.
They
as
are
well.
1/6 scale, and just to warn everybody, this is $245.
And I'm not saying this nonchalant, but that's typical Mondo price
Yeah.
for their figures like this. And everything really, they really stylize their stuff, and they do a good job with details.
And the
And-
cell shading's really nice, and the
Yeah.
fact it has a BAMF in there too.
Yeah, you have the effects. It's really cool. I always like to show these off just because I think they're so beautiful.
Mhm.
Can I afford them? No. Will I ever afford them? Probably not. But like, they're really cool, man. Yeah, and Nightcrawler is a really cool character too.
Everybody loves Kurt.
Everybody. Never met you. So I thought this was a really cool Lego set because I'm interested in space travel, and you have the space shuttle with the Boeing 747 carrier. I think that is it the Universal Space Shuttle? Hold on a second. Enterprise. That's Shuttle Enterprise on top.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 2,417 pieces. Comes with working landing gear. Really cool, like mechanics for that actually. And I'm looking
And what's the price on that?
$229.99.
That scales, man. That's about 8 cents a piece. So if you do your Lego math, especially because this is can technically be considered a licensed product because it is NASA.
That's true.
That's still a really good price because you got to really think about how many small pieces you have in there.
Yeah.
I tend to go with the idea that if I'm buying Lego, it's 10 cents per Lego product. But when it comes to IP, it's 15 cents per piece. So if the price count is in that area, I'm good. So for about 8 cents a piece, I'm down with it.
Yeah. Kat says we have an Ideas Luxo Junior set coming as well. And then Daniel would like to see more James Bond Legos. That would be cool. I agree.
That would be cool. There's a lot of red tape for that.
Oh yeah. That's a very protected franchise. So yeah,
yes, it is.
It can be a little tough to get through, but those would be cool things to see. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, I'll let you take this one away because this was yours.
Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is lately, but I've seen a lot of streamers recently been playing the original, Michael Keaton. I have to turn with my whole shoulders.
Yeah.
Video game on Nintendo, and then because it is a hard game, it is a very difficult game. Yeah. But the fact that we're getting a replica of the Batman utility belt, and this is Michael Keaton's utility belt because you take a look, there's the grappler, there's everything, and it comes with all the stuff. I think I might have to fight Ken for this one. I really think he would definitely like mine.
I mean, I love these replicas that NECA makes, but I just they're not something I would collect. So I see them and I'm like, man, that is so cool. And I was like, but I don't really. It wouldn't go with anything. I couldn't think of where to fit it in an action figure collection. So, and I'm not a big cosplayer. So,
yep. Now let's see. Right now, and just so you guys have an idea, this is only $100,
and it comes with a batarang and his grappling gun. I think, and then those 6 capsules. I'm sure they're like gadgets.
Torch, a taser, a scanner, micro camera, rebreather, gas pellets, and smoke bombs.
Nice. And his little like, is that a communicator or a radar or what is that coming off the belt there? The guy's holding.
That should be. That's just one of his. So that would be the micro communicator.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool. All right. It's awesome. Like if you're a Batman collector or like just into movie props, maybe, I think it's really cool. And I mean, it's right up my alley because it's one of my favorite movies. I collect a lot of stuff from Batman '89. Again, just action figures. I don't really do props. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell how much the plastic would move, or if it's a solid piece like Michael Keaton's cowl.
Yeah. Also, that ain't gonna fit me, so that's not like I can wear.
Well, and this is where NECA needs to take a page out of Bandai. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of us in the Tokusatsu community, we actually get like our Kamen Rider belts.
Mhm.
Bandai makes extensions specifically for these.
That's so smart.
You know, don't ask how much they are, but they make extensions.
At least they exist, though. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So everybody can play. But yeah, that's a lot of the news for this week. Just some interesting things we found that we liked and wanted to share.
Yep. And speaking of which, we did not plan this, ladies and gentlemen, but we were on the same wavelength today. Honest to goodness, I mean, life is like a hurricane, and can you believe that we matched?
It happens.
But yeah, we are talking about, you know, one of our great ways to start our day, the brand, you know, cereal toys.
Yep.
And I think this is just a great idea. So what is the scoop about this, Mickey?
What's the scoop?
Mm-hmm.
It's the golden era of cereal prizes. The 80s, the 90s, honestly, were the sweet spot. The 70s were kind of cool too, 60s maybe. But I felt inclined. I know it's not a cereal, right? But I feel like this is the genesis of this whole idea, right? Of putting a prize in a box of a snack or a food.
Agreed.
It's the Cracker Jack prize, right? This isn't where it started with cereals. We'll talk about that. But anytime I think about a prize in a box of food, I'm thinking about a Cracker Jack, which they're really not that popular anymore that I can think of. I think after I don't think I've had a box since like the 90s, honestly. It's been a long time, but they always had cool little prizes. Sure, they were like something silly that would hold your attention for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes at most. But it's just, I enjoy getting something in a snack box. It's a good feeling. I don't know what it is. Even if it's useless and you're probably going to throw it away. I think it's cool. But the first cereal prize was Kellogg's Funny Jungle Land Moving Pictures book. And if you were to provide 2 proofs of purchase of your Kellogg's cereals, right, you could get this book. And it was a big hit. And it kind of led to where we went with, cereal prizes. Obviously,
what's even funnier, the fact that if you guys know the history of Kellogg's cereal and where it came from, the fact that they put toys and incentives in it, especially with cornflakes, I think it's hilarious. You guys can look that up on your own. All right. All I'm just going to say, there was something about a sanitarium, and we're going to leave it at that.
We're going to get to this, Cat, the 2000s, the pinnacle of cereal toys for me. That's okay. I feel you.
And that's the lovely generational gap of our wonderful bullpen here at the Nerd Initiative.
Yeah, because right after that, Daniel says, as an 80s kid, cereal toys were awesome. And I totally agree. It was a big deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
This was really like the first toy in a box, was this submarine that you would take and you could put baking powder or baking soda in it, drop it in the water, it would float down, and then it would bubble up, and then it would come back down once all the carbon had been released or whatever it was coming out.
They still had them when we were kids. Let's be honest.
They did. It lasted for a really long time. Like it was
a good go-to.
It's a solid toy. I hope, I don't know. I hope this is in the Hall of Fame of toys. It should be, if you ask me. But yeah, that was something that Kellogg started, and it was a big deal. Kids really loved that. And this is where we're just evolving, right? We went to toys, and we're going with something that's like has a play factor to it. It's a lot of fun. And then the 60s and 70s hit, right? And you've opened this Pandora's box of cereal. And we're not going back, right? Now, everybody sees that this is a great marketing tool, right? Kids eat cereal for breakfast. I'm sure before that, I want to know, kids probably didn't care about cereal for breakfast.
No, and that goes back to the marketing stuff, which we were going to get into. But before, World War II, a lot of kids had, either hot breakfast or oatmeal or whatnot, because that's how it was. And then, in the post-war world that we were in, the convenience, especially with the working mom or two working parents, a nuclear family, this is where the idea of, hey, let's get these cereals out. And on top of it, if you take a look at those top 4 picture panels right there, they're one of the biggest cartoons of the 50s and 60s.
Yes.
The Flintstones. And everybody was watching them, parents included. But I got to give you some credit here because you got the best one of all, the Wacky Wall Walker. I don't know a kid in my neighborhood who didn't have at least one. and you had one, and then you had one covered in.
Yeah, that's another Hall of Fame cereal toy is the Wacky Wall Walker. It should be up there with the submarine, and other things. We'll get to other things, but yeah, this, and you already hit on it with the Flintstones. This is when we start. I don't know if it's licensing at this point because whatever, but it's advertising. At least it's marketing through a popular media or medium that they know people watch, right? And if they're watching that and we put it on this box, maybe they'll buy that and eat this cereal as well. So this is where we're getting, how the 80s went, right? We've talked about it before with He-Man and Thundercats and all those where
22-minute commercials.
We are honing in on a very certain demographic of little kids. This is where that's beginning, right? Something that I thought was super cool, and I don't remember this. Didn't even remember it. They had actual records on the back of a cereal box. You could cut it out and play it on your record. I'm sure it didn't sound good, but you could play it on your record player.
So I'm gonna put in here from my own recollection. All right. If anybody of the 80s kids will remember, McDonald's did a promotion with this in their Sunday newspapers. To be able, there was a whole promotion. I don't remember the actual albums because this is definitely way before my time, like the Beatles, Rice Honeys, like that. That's obviously, and I didn't even know Nabisco was in the cereal game, to be quite honest, and I used to work for him. That's a tie-in with Yellow Submarine. The Archies, I don't even know what brand of cereal that is on there. Jackson 5, that's probably a Ralston or Post product. But in the 80s, there was a promotion that McDonald's had ran where there was this whole choir singing the entire menu. And you had to there was only like 5 of these that were released that had them sing the whole thing, double cheeseburger, and then at some point they would completely ruin it. I can't tell you how many copies of it I had. And they used to stop at different points too.
Yeah.
Where you heard them, like they cut it where and like I got up to like 3 items left. And I'm like, I'm gonna win. So the technology was out there. Like it's literally just a cheap piece of vinyl on cardboard, and they didn't sound too bad. You just had to make sure your needle was clean.
Yeah.
I think it's the only time I could probably say that on Nerd Initiative and get away with it.
Also, yeah, I was about to say for the kids out there, but then vinyl's really made a comeback. So I feel like it's back in the popular
lexicon. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a niche market now.
I'm sure there's a generation that still probably don't understand it or know what it is, but I say for the most part, it's come back strong enough where most people know what a record is or a vinyl is. But yeah, that's how we used to listen to music.
I still have thousands of my dad's.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. We didn't have a lot of them. We were kind of, I think because of my age in the 80s here, my dad was transferring a lot of stuff to cassettes, and he kind of got rid of a lot of his vinyls. I bet he wished he didn't. but he did.
And my dad had me by a good 40 years. He was 40 when I was born, so he was of that,
Okay, yeah.
end of silent generation. So like, and then at some point, my uncle actually in the 60s worked for a radio station in Northeast Philly.
Mhm.
So we had a lot of vinyl.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, before we get into this, which of these cereals on this page did you try?
Me?
Yeah.
Or chat,
Or
let us know
everybody
too.
in the chat, super chat, yourself.
But
I can say I've had 2.
I had Mr. T cereal because I was a big Mr. T fan when I was a kid. And I had the Nintendo cereal, but I never had Bill and Ted's. I don't even remember Bill and Ted's cereal. I was happy to find it because I loved that movie. I was like, man, I missed out.
So the Bill and Ted cereal was based on the cartoon on CBS from one Saturday morning. So this was later, I would say mid 90s, not necessarily 80s.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. My math could be a little bit off, depending
You
on
might be
which
right.
Bill and Ted movie it was.
You probably are right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as we just showed you, tie-ins and licensing, baby. Like, this is what the 80s was about. We have to integrate everything across all marketing platforms, across all products, and that includes your kitchen and what you're eating and cereals, right? Because kids love sugary, delicious cereals. Ghostbusters, E.T., Star Wars, Smurfs, Pac-Man. We'll have more later when I talk about Ralston, because they were like the Mac Daddy of those. But yeah, C-3POs, man, epic, so good.
Okay, so off this one, I've had Pac-Man.
Yeah.
I've had the red Ghostbusters, not the slime Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
I might have had E.T. And oddly enough, even though we just did our Star Wars episode, we weren't a Star Wars house as growing up.
Okay.
So, and Smurf berries, again, maybe, like I said, man, when I was a kid, I kind of got what I wanted because I was the special, the last born, the only boy, spoiled brat as I was. So,
well, so yeah, I was the only child for a long time. They didn't have my little brother till I was 8 years old. So I kind of got that vibe too. And plus they were just trying to give me something easy and quick to eat in the morning. And I could pretty much pick it out. But yeah, and I really liked a lot of the prizes that come in these, which sometimes, again, we associate with the box itself. You have that mask on the C-3POs. You would have a different character on the back, which you could cut out and wear. And Ghostbusters, they had a Frisbee disc in a lot of theirs, was like a big deal. And throughout all of this time, they would also run promotions for like mail-in T-shirts or posters or comic books, depending on what the cereal is. So like, there was always something attached to it that you really wanted, that really said to you, as old Ronnie here says, might as well advertise to the kids more.
I'm just saying, like, if you look at the cereal aisle, as all of our adult and especially parent followers here on Nerd Initiative, you really just want to take a look at the aisle.
Yeah.
Honest to goodness, you will see all of the adult cereals are at our eye level, and all the kid cereals are at the kid level.
Yeah.
Because it's the 80s, 22-minute cartoons or commercials.
And then while they're watching the cartoons, they're eating the cereal that will also work with them. But yeah, Ralston rules, man. They had some of the coolest cereal boxes.
Like they look like comic books. Honest to God.
Literally, almost like toy packaging, right?
Yep.
Like, and as you can see, Barbie, Cabbage Patch Kids, Rainbow Bright. These are toys. G.I. Joe. They were mostly toys more than they were animated series or cartoons. But yeah, it was just like, here it is. And there's a bunch up there that I just couldn't fit. Like the Addams Family and other things. If anything was culturally taking over, it had a cereal attached to it in the 80s and 90s, really.
Now let's just explain three things. Okay, one, the Nintendo cereal has 2 different cereals in there, so they were 2.
It's the Nintendo cereal system.
It's 2 half bags done vertically. So it's not
Yeah.
like, oh, I had to eat the one to get to the other. So if one morning you're feeling, more like being the hero of Hyrule, you could have Zelda cereal. If you felt more like you were going to go jump on some Goombas, then you could have Super Mario Brothers cereal.
Yeah.
Another one is the Cabbage Patch cereal did not taste like cabbages, just so you know.
Oh, bummer.
But that Batman cereal, I know I had that one.
I did
Absolutely.
too.
The Action Stars, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I only Nintendo is really and Batman are the only two I think I actually remember having off of this. I might have had that Spider-Man cereal too. I was a big fan.
I could definitely see Rich and Ken digging into the WWF Superstar cereal.
Oh, dude, I was big into it. Like that was my time into it as well. Daniel says I sadly tried about half of those on screen. Hey man, ain't nothing wrong with that, dude.
And how's your diabetes today?
Hey, I usually stuck with like the Fruit Loops or the Honey Smacks, like the actual like brands. If I saw something like this, I'd probably ask for it and occasionally get it. But yeah, I was usually a Fruit Loops kid 9 times out of 10, or like Honey Smacks. I really liked Honey Smacks as a kid.
See, and that's what's so odd is like I like all kinds of cereals, and especially because I had such an older generation of my dad, my aunts, and grandmother.
Yeah.
Obviously, I still had all these fruity cereals, but I liked number 19. If anybody remembers that, it was an old Kellogg's brand of like a flake, like a bran flake that had 19 minerals and nutrients and everything. I like Special K. I liked regular Cheerios, not any flavors. Like I never liked Honey Nut Cheerios till I got older and could appreciate it.
Okay.
Because I just wanted regular Cheerios. Rice Krispies I could eat literally by the box.
Oh man, it had to be Cocoa Krispies. I couldn't handle it.
See, and I didn't like Cocoa Krispies because it was just way too chocolatey.
I loved it.
And that's just weird for me. If you know me, like, give me the old people flavors first before. I loved Raisin Bran. I still love Raisin Bran.
Raisin Bran was like the only like adult cereal that I liked as a kid. Like I could get down on some Raisin Bran.
And like at my job, we have Raisin Bran on part of our breakfast stuff. And we also offer other dried fruits and whatnot because, I'm not going to get into where I might work. But sometimes I'll put like some apricots or whatnot, dried fruit, and and make it fruity bran.
It sounds delicious.
It really is. It's a good fill-in for like if I forget my lunch one day. But these are great cereals. I might have had Action Stars. I don't know. But we're talking about the toys themselves. I had that Garfield. I know for a fact I had that
Garfield. Dead center here. This Batman bank is one of those like highly sought after cereal toys. And it was funny because you guys saw the Batman box in the previous slide. This guy's about the size of a box. Like they would shrink wrap him in front of it. He's like, it's almost like a 3D box, like something's coming out at you, but it was this coin bank. It's flat on the back. Yep. And like, it was like all the rage. If you still have, I think they're still like highly collectible and rare. Like
I wouldn't be surprised.
Even some cereal boxes are still pretty highly collectible, especially C-3POs. They're like crazy expensive.
Yeah, well, it's a Star Wars community.
But yeah, you had that Ninja Turtles bowl. I wish I had got that. That would have been a great thing to have. You had a ghost detector that they sold in these things. There was just so many like interesting things you could play with or use. And earlier on the Flintstones, Fruity Pebbles, there was a coin purse. Like those things were really smart, in my opinion, because kids could use those. Yeah,
practical things. Like I know that Garfield ended up on my bike.
Heck yeah. Honeycombs I didn't eat a lot of honeycombs, but they had a lot of cool stuff like that. Watches, little license plates for your bicycle that you could customize. So
I remember those.
There was a lot of really cool things coming out of that era in terms of things kids would use. And as we got closer into the 90s, I feel like we went more into like collectibles, like figures, because Disney takes over, baby. All right. And I'm going to show you a few of my personal collection here. I got Gizmo. Darkwing Duck, Launchpad, and
Don Carnage.
Don Carnage. I was like Don Carnage. Yeah. I used to have quite a few more. I kind of lost a lot of them.
Now, Mickey, I actually have a guy I can go to if you want more of these.
I
I'm not kidding. I really do. Now,
'Cause this was
interestingly
a big
enough,
deal.
if you look at this picture, there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, and kind of 5. 5 characters on here, all voiced by the same person.
Is it Jim Cummings?
Yep. Can you name them?
Pete. I'm trying to see everybody who's here. Dang, outside of Pete.
He is the terror that flaps in the
Yeah,
night.
I forgot he did do Darkwing Duck too. Damn it. Yeah.
Right. He also was Don Carnage.
He was Don Carnage. Was he one of the gummy bears?
Well, let me tell you, you're not going to get it with a little bit of...
Was he?
He was Monterey Jack as well.
Did Peter Cullen did it first though, right?
He did. He did do it
And
for
then
a
he
short
took
while,
over.
and then
He
he
took
took over. And
I guess.
Jim Cummings has also done Baloo off and on.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
But he was more famous in Tailspin for doing King Louie, but he didn't get a figure.
Yeah.
And also, yes, it's the 90s, but Gummy Bears was the 80s.
Yeah, that is funny. I guess it was just part of their whole like
Yep. Disney
rollout.
Afternoon.
Yeah.
And by the way, out of all these shows, as much as everybody might say that this had the best theme song,
No, it's Gummy Bears, bro.
Gummy Bears hits so hard, so much harder. I don't care.
I'm
what
with you.
say.
I'm with you. Oh man, so good. Gummy Bears.
And the other thing is too, we've talked about this before. The DuckTales, since we've just got the shirts on, the DuckTales 2017 series, folks, go back and watch it. They reference every single one of these shows.
Yeah, they do. They really do. I love that show too. But yeah, this was like a sweet spot for me when it came to like cereal toys because I love these. These are things that I really sought after during that time. And before we go any further, I wanted to ask you something. And chat, please chime in on this too. Were you a just wait until it comes out with your pour, or were you I'm going to open it, dig in, get it before I do anything else?
Little bit of both. I think
Little bit of both.
once my dad figured out that I could get down to it, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
Once I figured out that like once I'm 2 bowls in and I can tilt the box just right,
Yeah.
and then I start digging for it, and then he put the squash on that. So it's like, all right, you got to eat the cereal to get down to it. And the worst part is like nowadays as an adult, like if I go get cereal, I am so bad with it. Like I could eat a whole regular box of cereal in 2 days because once you just get that taste, you're just
Depending on what it is, heck yeah.
oh yeah, give me Honey Bunches of Oats any day because I have old people tastes. Give me Lucky Charms, I got to span it over 4 or 5 days because diabetes.
Daniel was much like myself. I'm going in as unsanitary as it is, hands going in that cereal to find that toy before I do anything. I might pour my first bowl first, right?
Okay.
And then we're going digging.
But here's the thing. How many of us just didn't think of opening the bottom of the box first?
Well, it wasn't always in the bottom. Sometimes it was near the top or in the middle.
Depending on what it was.
Yeah, you know. And it's at certain points, probably because of sanitation reasons, they started putting them outside of the bag, right? Like in their own little individual wrapper or whatever.
Because God knows you didn't want little Timmy's hands going, yay, Rice Krispies.
I'm sure nobody wanted to eat cereal after I got a whole trying to find the toy. Like, well, that's done. That's all him from here on.
He called the ultimate dibs on breakfast.
Yes, absolutely. So what do we got here?
So back in the 90s, and this brand has been around well before that, to try and with the increasing prices in the cereal aisle, Multimeal was the anti-toy company. But what they still did is they still marketed towards kids by keeping their bagged cereals because they saved a lot on product and development and also for just the containers at the lower level. And any of you 90s kids will remember, or 80s and 90s kids will remember this commercial vividly. How this guy was able to do this, I have no idea. Okay, like let's hope he got it in 2, at least 3 takes.
Yeah, that became a that was like a TikTok trend not long ago. People walking like that.
Oh God. Sorry, I wasn't. I was working on my dances. I wouldn't know.
Yeah. So I mean, it made a comeback not long ago.
But the cereals weren't that bad, and
They
that's the
weren't.
thing. They were on par. Like this gave me the whole idea of not having to get branded cereals as a kid, because I know I would much rather have Lucky Charms as opposed to Leprechaun Treasures.
Yeah.
Give me Cheerios, not oh my gods. Whatever.
Fruit Loops, not Fruitios.
Or Fruity Tooties. That was
Tooties.
Malto Meals.
Which they were really good too. They were just as good to me. Like I didn't care if somebody was like, "We got the Fruity Tooties." I'm like, "Hey, I'm in. Let's go." But we're coming to the end of that era, right? The 2000s. You start to see Daniel. My knees hurt now.
My back hurts just thinking about it.
Yeah, dude.
Now I know Kat said up here earlier in the chat that the 2000s were her thing. So, Kat, I really would love your opinion on this in the chat, because Mickey and I kind of came to an impasse when we were doing our research on this.
Yeah, because okay, we'll just go ahead and go to the next slide anyway, since we're going to talk about it. Technology took off, with the internet, and also kids weren't really watching like the same kind of cartoons anymore. It was more like, they were still there. It was just different. I don't know how to explain it. It was marketed in different ways. They weren't really thinking about cereal. It was a whole thing. But anyway, it became about technology being cool, not so much toys.
Like go on to Club Penguin, or join our exclusive club online, the General Mills this, or the Ralston that.
And even Chex had its own game that they would include in their boxes of cereal, or at least like a sample or a demo of it, and you could buy the whole thing. And I don't remember it at all, but just looking at it, it's like Doom, but with cereal.
Yeah, it was.
And goofy like aliens. I don't know what they were, booger monsters or something, but yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And they started including actual CD-ROMs.
Yep.
On cereal boxes with games.
And and not only just CD-ROMs, but mini discs too. So if you had that little mini disc adapter in your CD-ROM, this is where it started to go. They realized that trends were shifting, and this was a smart idea. Yeah. Plus, if you get them hooked on that, then everybody wins. The electric company wins. The dial-up wins.
Here we go. Here's a Cat says, it was good since there was a lot of interesting toys with all different IPs, but it was also awesome to see all different types of cereal boxes. Okay. There definitely was a big change in like designs and
marketing big time.
They were definitely trying to reinvigorate and capture a new audience, because theirs had grown up. Me, you, everybody, Daniel had all grown up, and they were trying to catch that new wave. What are these kids into? Well, they like computers, and they like stuff like this. And so that's where it went. And, before we move on, because I didn't really talk about it later in this slide at all, but now, again, if you go down the cereal aisle, I have 2 kids, right? So we're down the cereal aisle maybe once a week, once every other week, right? To refill what they love. And everything is like Minecraft codes, Robux, Fortnite V-Bucks. It's all these things that they can spend in their games that they play. Their online sandbox.
Trust me, Mickey, as we were coming up with this, I was trying to find the best iPad kid meme, and it's like some of them were just so off color I couldn't put on here. I just wanted to get one and go, just that was it. That's all I wanted to do. And I was like, yeah, but it's the truth.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of like physical things associated with cereal marketing now, and occasionally, like last year, I just brought out my Count Chocula figurine, but I got all four: Frankenberry, Blueberry, and I'm drawing a blank on the other one, the werewolf. I can't remember his name.
Fruit.
Okay, so
That's
I
right,
got all
yeah.
four of those. I got all four of those, and I had to mail in for them. Like they didn't come in the box, so I was like,
Yep.
I mean, you could have just slipped that in the box, man. Come on, dude. Like, but whatever.
And Kat has this perfectly.
Yeah, and there's paywalls, there's these microtransactions, and that's where Serial's kind of going now in that aspect. And I can sit here and be like, that sucks, get off my lawn, whatever. But I mean, I'm not part of that generation. My youngest son really cares about it a little bit. Like he'll see something that's like, I want that Minecraft. It might be like a helmet or a armor or something like that. It may even just be credits, right?
Like I said before, I have, when they did the McDonald's Happy Meal, the Minecraft Happy Meal, the adult Happy Meal.
Oh, those
I got two of them just so I could put the things in my Minecraft game. So
yeah,
I got the Grimace helmet.
A Cat has some back to school General Mills figures from 2 years ago.
And we're getting to that. Don't worry. We got that covered.
Matter of fact, we'll move right on to it since Cat brought it up. We'll go ahead and move right on to it.
So back in 2020, General Mills decided to bring back to the limelight what is now called the Cereal Squad, which are all their big names, their branded characters. So you had Trix the Rabbit, you had Chip the Wolf. I don't know if the Honey Cinnamon Toast Crunch Kid, whatever, had a name, and I will look it up real quick. You had Sunny, you had, Lucky from Lucky Charms, and you had Buzz the honeybee. Now, if you take a look, they did do different variants of them. There was a gold edition up here on the top that you had to find. There was a Halloween edition, which was season 2. Now, if you take a look at that gold edition, there were 6 in the initial run in all 3 original series. Take a look at series 4 in the middle there, the back to the 90s. Yeah. Who's added there?
Oh, it's Lucky, right?
Nope. Dead center. It's in between Buzz and the cereal pile over here. That is Wendell the Baker.
Oh, okay.
From Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah.
Who was the original mascot.
Yep. They
added him in the last series. And so you can say it was series 4. Some people call it series 4 because of the gold edition. More, it was series 3. So the whole Cereal Squad. And this was a whole crossover. They did marketing towards it. They did online stuff. I thought this was great. And honestly, as a kid that grew up with all these mascots, I honestly think I might have 1 or 2 of these. I probably have Lucky out of all of them.
Yeah. I know my kids do have Buzz and the Trix Rabbit, whatever his name is. But
Trix.
Yeah, Trix. So I know we have those somewhere.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's sad that I know all their names still.
That's not sad. It's cool.
Merchandising. We just need to start getting the overlay and just put it in the corner.
Just put it every time. And it's going to be a lot. It's going to be every show. But this is something I thought was interesting. The future for cereal prizes collector. I mean, there's people out here that just probably collect this stuff and cereal related merchandise.
I honestly have never bought one of these, and I have seen some brands that I'd want to get.
Yeah. I was interested because I never knew, is there actual cereal in there? Or is it just
yes, there is.
Yes. And you can eat it. And
I never got it because of the fact of dude, you're a toy manufacturer. Why are you making cereal?
These are appealing. Even me, I'll think about it, but it's just one of those things. Nah, it's not that big of a deal.
and I don't even know if they're because I know the board game Popverse has pops, but they're also a 3/4 size. So I don't even know what size these would be because I know they're not minis, and I also know they're not the full size. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're done in that,
yeah,
sub line.
Yeah. There's a lot out there. These are just quick ones I threw together.
The only one I ever wanted to get was Mega Man.
I almost threw that one up here. I was like, that Mega Man is sweet, bro.
It is. But I honestly, and I don't think you've ever seen this shelf because it's on a different wall. I have my Mega Man pop shelf.
Nice.
So I got Proto Man, I've got Mega Man, I've got Wily, and then when they were doing the mystery minis, I have Tango and Beat specifically, which
Okay.
work in scale to them.
Yeah.
So
Kat remembers the Red Ranger from these. Oh, she did an article about it.
yes, I do remember on that other place that we don't talk about. Voldemort.
But yeah, so I'll let you take this one.
And keeping up, because we all know I love my toys to life. Oh, look, I have one right here. Going back to the whole amiibos and everything, Super Mario cereal. This was a recent item that was made when Super Mario Odyssey came out. Ladies and gentlemen, the box is the toy. There's no toy inside. So right where that amiibo logo is, there is an integrated RFID chip in the box. Did I have one? Yes. Did I cut around it? Yes. Did I remember where the heck I put it for our episode? No. Now, just so you know, if you take a look right next to it, I do have all 5 Mario figures, not counting the pixel ones and the throwback anniversaries.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing special about this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it was a generic Mario, Super Mario Brothers line Mario. It would still work as just a plain old Mario. Now you would think, being Mario Odyssey, oh, well, maybe they did a special edition version, or maybe they did this. No, maybe it was the wedding version. No, maybe it was the silver version. No, maybe it was the Smash Brothers version. No, but again, regular Mario does work in Smash Brothers, just so you know. You can only have one save file. Maybe it was gold edition. No, I have gold edition. Well, I told you I had 4 of them at one point.
Yeah.
But it was all done in good karma.
That's right.
But yeah, that was it. And this is the most recent cereal toy, or even better, integration into technology. Since we were talking about it, that we have nowadays. And I got to give them credit. The hardest part is you're taking a box, right? And you're going up to your controller. I'm going to use this as a makeshift controller. And you have to, try and scan the box with your controller. God forbid if you had your Switch completely together, you'd have to take the Joy-Con off and go, big fire. It was ridiculous. And to try and get the one thing, and here's worse. Let's say your Joy-Cons finally had enough drift, you didn't use them, so you had a Pro controller, right?
Yeah.
You can't scan that with a Pro controller.
No.
Because you're get it between the posts and nope. So it wasn't the be all end all, you had to have an amiibo. And that's coming from the amiibo expert.
I wish they'd put a little amiibo in there.
And
it could be even a small version. That would be kind of cool.
And that's even the worst part too. With Universal now, if you go down there and get your power-up band for Super Mario World, they still scan as amiibo, standard amiibo.
Huh. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So does that mean I get to walk around and just take Mario and go?
Yes.
But that's the scoop of what everything is going on. Another really good one. Hi guys, how we doing? Another good one that we want us to talk about that I want to bring up is, I mentioned in the chat here earlier about cereals that we wish would come back. Mickey, do you know about Quisp?
That sounds familiar.
So Quisp was a brand back in the 60s. This was back during the big, huge sci-fi race and, Flash Gordon and Lost in Space and everything. Quisp, if you're looking it up.
Yes, I am. It
was a cereal that had been discontinued that because of such great online demand, it came back as an online only to get specifically, I believe it was from Post. And then it eventually rolled out in stores as a seasonal item. So again, the power of cereal still exists. So,
it does.
It's the best way to start your day, aside from, watching us over here at Nerd Initiative.
Or Inter Night, whatever. I like a good late night cereal, bowl cereal. Not bad. It's a good midnight snack.
Yep, can't go wrong with it. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up this week. I know tomorrow night we've got some stuff going on with TAP. Speaking of which, we also have a special variant edition coming out later this week from the publisher for Gungnir Entertainment and Comics and Books. We just recorded that this evening, so that'll be up later. Wednesday, we've got all the great new comic books. Make sure you check out over on nerdinitiative.com for our top 4 that we have coming out. How many you got this week?
2. That's my usual number.
I don't know, 4 or
yeah,
5.
But You do videos. Well, that might be harder, actually. I don't know.
If you can't tell, I do my things completely off the cuff. I don't script anything. So do you know how many times I start a video and go, and coming from, Play for Keeps Comics and is from Nikki, and I start cursing and hit delete and redo it. So you'd be surprised how many times that, we also had that great new reveal from Mad Cave Studios. Today is the FOC date for those of you on the West Coast. If you need to get in touch for Endless Night, I have a great unboxing video up on all of our socials. And then, of course, we already talked about WWF Superstars, serial dropping in from the top row is going to be Rich and Sammy talking about everything in AEW, ACW, EAW, Japan Wrestling Live, and all the other acronyms in between that I don't even know. But we got all a bunch of great content coming out. So make sure, like we always mention to you folks, that you make sure you hit that subscribe button, ding the thing, let it ring, hit that bell, and then, of course, leave the thumbs up to let our GEO, Michael, know that we are doing our job and doing it well. Speaking of which, I'm actually teaming up with Michael for the next few Spider-Man versus Venomverse comics.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's going to be we're doing our own in-house verses. He's going to be covering stuff from the Spider side.
That's very clever.
And I'm going to be covering stuff from the Venom side.
Well done.
I have my moments. This is why I'm an ideas guy.
That's right.
I keep myself with people who know how to do this stuff. But we hope you guys all get to be able to dig into a bowl of cereal at some point, whether it's with soy milk, oat milk, chocolate milk, regular milk, whatever milk suits your fancy. All right. And, have a healthy week, whether it's sugar frosted or not, And as always, we just always want to remind you that when you play Thank you very much, guys.